Here are Grandma's 44 extreme frugal living tips. Dumpster diving. Would you believe people once scavenged through trash for treasures? Most people during Grandma's time often found useful items in dumpsters and trash heaps. From slightly damaged furniture to perfectly good food, she utilized what others discarded. This method saved money and reduced waste, embodying the ultimate frugal living habit. Surprisingly, a lot of people still do this today, and you can too. Forage and make jelly from unconventional sources. Have you ever tried dandelion jelly? Grandma's foraging adventures included collecting wild plants like honeysuckle and fireweed to create delicious jellies. She'd boil the flowers, add sugar and pectin, and enjoy homemade treats. This not only saved money, but also provided unique flavors for the family's meals. Make wine from expired fruits. Got expired fruit? Don't throw it away. Grandma turned expired fruits into homemade wine. She'd crush the fruit, add sugar and yeast, and let it ferment for weeks. The result was a frugal and tasty beverage, perfect for the occasional family toast or cooking, using flour sacks for clothing. Flour sacks as dresses? It's true. During tough times, Grandma repurposed flour sacks into clothing. She carefully washed and stitched the material into durable dresses and aprons. These homemade outfits were functional and a testament to her resourcefulness, turning necessity into a homemaking art. Cardboard and shoes. Imagine patching shoes with cardboard. When footwear wore thin, Grandma used pieces of cardboard to cover holes. She cut them to fit the shoe and placed them inside for extra cushioning. This simple fix extended the life of shoes, saving money and providing comfort. Hobo meals. Ever made a meal from leftovers and pantry scraps? Frequently, she cooked hobo meals from whatever was available. She combined bits of meat, vegetables, and potatoes into a hearty stew. These frugal meals were simple, nutritious, and ensured nothing in the kitchen went to waste, preserving food with salt. No refrigeration, no problem. Grandma preserved meat and other perishable foods by curing them with salt. This ancient technique kept food edible for longer periods and was especially useful before the widespread availability of refrigeration. Hunting and foraging. Why buy when you can hunt and forage? Often, people during Grandma's time ventured into the woods to gather wild berries, nuts, and edible plants. Occasionally, they would hunt small game for meat. These practices provided free, nutritious food and kept the family's pantry stocked year-round. Buy ugly or minor damaged fruit. Did you know ugly fruit tastes just as good? She bought blemished or slightly damaged fruits at a discount and used them for cooking and preserves. This habit reduced food waste and offered an affordable way to enjoy fresh produce. Hand-me-downs. Hand-me-downs were a staple in Grandma's household. Clothing was passed from child to child until it was worn out. Even then, she'd cut up the fabric for patches or quilts. This practice ensured the family always had clothes and highlighted her frugal, resourceful nature. Using newspapers as insulation. Did you know newspapers can keep you warm? In the old days, people used newspapers as insulation for their homes. They lined walls, floors, and even shoe insoles with the papers. This inexpensive method kept the house cozy and demonstrated another clever use of everyday items. Refilling liquid soap pumps with half soap and half water. Liquid soap too pricey. Grandma had a smart solution. She'd refill soap pumps with half soap and half water. This simple trick made soap last twice as long without sacrificing cleanliness. By diluting the soap, she managed to save money and maintain hygiene in a frugal way. Using root vegetables to stretch meals. Root vegetables were a staple in many kitchens. To stretch meals, people added potatoes, carrots, and turnips to stews and casseroles. These veggies were affordable, nutritious, and filling. This practice not only made meals more economical, but also ensured the family had hearty dishes on the table. Homemade toys. Why buy when you can create? Grandma often crafted homemade toys for the kids. She used scraps of fabric, wood, and other materials to make dolls, wooden cars, and simple games. These handmade toys were cherished and showed her ingenuity in providing joy without spending money. Rainwater collection. Is rain just for the garden? Not for everyone. They collected rainwater in barrels for various household uses. From watering plants to flushing toilets, this free resource helped conserve water and reduce utility bills. It was a simple yet effective way to make the most of nature's offerings. Living in multi-generational homes. A crowded house or a clever solution? Multi-generational living was common during tough times. Families shared homes, pooling resources and reducing living costs. This arrangement provided a support system, from shared childcare to elder care, and fostered strong family bonds. Keep a victory garden. During tough times, Grandma kept a victory garden. She grew vegetables in her backyard to supplement the family's diet. This not only ensured a supply of fresh produce, but also cut down on grocery bills. The garden was a symbol of self-sufficiency and frugality, rationing everything. Rationing wasn't just a necessity during Grandma's time, it was a way of life. People rationed everything from food to clothing. They planned meals carefully, used every scrap, and repurposed old items. This disciplined approach to resource management ensured the family's needs were met without overspending. Using old tires as planters. Old tires aren't just for vehicles, they can be repurposed into planters for a garden. By cutting them in half and filling them with soil, they become durable and weather-resistant containers for plants. This creative use of tires saves money and adds a unique touch to the garden. Making your own organic fertilizer. Why buy fertilizer when you can make your own? Kitchen scraps, coffee grounds, and eggshells can be composted to create nutrient-rich fertilizer. This homemade option is cost-effective and environmentally friendly, ensuring a healthy garden without the expense of store-bought products. Reuse bathwater for gardening. Water conservation was a priority. Bathwater, also known as gray water, was collected and reused for gardening. This practice reduced water bills and provided plants with a consistent supply of water. It's a simple yet effective way to conserve resources and maintain a thriving garden. Homemade ice cream without a machine. Craving ice cream but don't have a machine? No problem. Mix milk, sugar, and vanilla in a bag, then place it inside another bag filled with ice and salt. Shake until the mixture turns into ice cream. This DIY method is fun, cost-effective, and perfect for a homemade treat. Using coffee grounds multiple times. Believe it or not, coffee grounds can be reused. Grandma often used them more than once for a second, slightly weaker cup of coffee. Additionally, the used grounds were great for gardening, acting as a natural fertilizer for plants. This resourceful practice ensured nothing went to waste. Keeping chickens. Why buy eggs when you can have your own chickens? Keeping chickens provided a steady supply of fresh eggs and occasionally meat. Chickens also helped with pest control in the garden and provided manure for fertilizer. It's a sustainable and economical way to produce food at home. Living without electricity. Can you imagine living without electricity? Some families managed by using candles for light, wood stoves for cooking and heating, and ice boxes for preserving food. This lifestyle was frugal and environmentally friendly, demonstrating a high level of resourcefulness and adaptability. Boarding house living. Shared living arrangements back then were common. Boarding houses offered a cost-effective solution where individuals or families could rent rooms and share communal spaces. This setup let reduce living expenses and created a supportive community environment, making it easier to manage during tough times. Eat expired canned food. Don't throw away expired canned food just yet. Many canned goods remain safe to eat beyond their expiration dates if the cans are not damaged or bulging. This practice helped reduce waste and stretch food supplies, ensuring that every bit of nourishment was utilized, trading labor for goods. In a cash-strapped economy, bartering was a common practice. People traded labor for goods and services. For example, a handyman might fix a neighbor's fence in exchange for fresh produce. This system allowed for the exchange of resources without the need for money, fostering community cooperation and support. Collect cans and turn in for money. Collecting cans wasn't just a hobby, it was a source of income. By gathering aluminum cans and recycling them, people could earn a few extra dollars. This simple practice not only helped to clean up the environment, but also provided a small but steady source of cash. Cooking in bulk. Cooking in bulk saved time and money. By preparing large quantities of food and storing it in the refrigerator or freezer, families could enjoy homemade meals throughout the week. This method reduced the frequency of cooking and ensured there was always a meal ready when needed. Using offcuts of meat. Offcuts of meat were never wasted. These cheaper cuts were often transformed into delicious dishes through slow cooking or stewing. By using every part of the animal, families could make the most out of their purchases, creating hearty meals from items that might otherwise be discarded. Make buttermilk waffles from expired milk. Expired milk wasn't thrown away. It was turned into buttermilk waffles. By using slightly sour milk, a key ingredient for flavorful waffles, people could create delicious breakfast treats. This practice ensured that nothing went to waste and added a homemade touch to the morning meal. Scour newspaper for free food events. Grandma knew the power of a newspaper. She'd scour the pages for free food events hosted by churches and community centers. These events offered meals and groceries to families in need, ensuring that everyone had enough to eat without spending a penny. Using catalogs as toilet paper. During resource-scarce times, even catalogs found a second life. Pages from old catalogs were used as toilet paper when supplies were low. This frugal practice highlighted the importance of making do with what was available and ensured that essential needs were met without expense. Homemade meals from leftovers. Leftovers were never wasted. From leftover veggies to bits of meat, everything was repurposed into new meals. Casseroles, stews, and soups were common dishes that allowed for the combination of various leftovers, ensuring that nothing went to waste and the family was always well fed. Home canning and preserving. Canning and preserving allowed families to store food for the long term. By sealing fruits, vegetables, and meats in jars, they could create a pantry of preserved goods. Grandma's pantry was always stocked, ensuring that food was available year-round, especially during the off-season, and minimizing food waste. Baking bread at home. Baking bread at home was more than a tradition, it was a necessity. By making her own bread, Grandma ensured a constant supply of fresh, wholesome loaves. This practice saved money and provided the family with delicious homemade bread without the preservatives found in store-bought options. Making baskets from natural materials. Why buy a basket when you can make one? With natural materials like reeds, vines, and willow branches, people crafted their own baskets. These handmade creations were used for carrying groceries, storing items, and even gifting. This skill showcased resourcefulness and a connection to nature. Use homemade cleaning products. Household cleaning products can be expensive. Grandma made her own with simple ingredients like vinegar, baking soda, and lemon juice. These homemade solutions were just as effective, cheaper, and environmentally friendly. It's a frugal and healthy way to keep the home sparkling clean. Riding bicycles for transportation. Who needs a car when you have a bike? For short trips around town, bicycles were the go-to mode of transportation. They saved on fuel cost, were easy to maintain, and provided a healthy, eco-friendly alternative to driving. This practice was both frugal and beneficial to the environment, eating offal and organ meats. Nothing from the animal went to waste. Offal and organ meats, often discarded today, were regular items on the menu. These parts were nutritious and could be cooked into delicious dishes. This frugal approach ensured that every part of the animal was utilized, providing essential nutrients. Use vegetable scraps to make broths. Don't throw away those veggie scraps. Onion skins, carrot tops, and celery ends were saved to make flavorful broths. Boiling these scraps in water created a nutrient-rich base for soups and stews. This practice reduced food waste and provided a cost-free ingredient for many meals. Saving bathwater for laundry. Water conservation was crucial. After bathing, the water didn't go to waste. It was reused for laundry. By saving bathwater, families could cut down on their water bills and make the most of every drop. This practice demonstrated a simple yet effective way to conserve resources. For more contents like this, click here to subscribe.